everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where today it is time to begin the Relic weapons for Heavensward. Gonna start out today with our minion roulette, giving us a wind-up airship, our very first minion. And let's get started here in Adelshire. For Heavensward, I'm going to be trying to do all three of the Heavensward jobs relics. So that'll be Dark Knight's Relic, Machinist's Relic, and Astrologian's Relic. If I have the time, I would like to also work on the A Realm Reborn job relics. Though that is not something that I am going to commit myself to, because that is so much effort, and I've already done it once on my main. Don't make me do it again. If I have time to do it again, I will, because I honestly do enjoy the mindless grind. Just don't make me do it again. If I don't do it all again, please don't be mad at me. Alright, unfortunately, these relics, as before, start with Rowena. Rowena is planning a trip to Revenant's Toll. Good morning to you, Satora. Something on your mind? I've been called back to Revenant's Toll to take care of a new shipment of wares, but if you've matters of money that require my attention... hold that thought. It seems I have visitors. Some more welcome than others. Part of the intrusion, Mistress Rowena. I realized I was here only a few days ago, but I really must speak with you about... Good, you're still here. We need to talk about that promissory note. Now, I know what you're thinking. That stinking sack of goobu shite ain't got me goddamn money. Well, you're wrong. I saved it up every last gil. The thing is, me mates took me out for a drink to celebrate and... Excuse me, sir, but when people are talking, it is generally considered rude to interrupt. I know not what manner of business you have with Rowena, but I am quite sure it can wait. Gerald, you had it all saved up, and then you spent it all on alcohol again. 1, you need better friends. 2, you have got to kick your alcoholism. I don't like that the writers play his alcoholism as a joke. I really, really do not like that. It's really upsetting. As I was saying, Mistress Rowena, have you perchance been able to arrange a meeting with your associates? There's much I would ask them about their work on arcane sentries. Hold on a bleeding minute. You are telling me to wait. Didn't no one ever tell you to teach you to shut your gob when grown-ups are talking? Me life and, more importantly, me note at the tavern's at stake here. Now be a good lad and bugger off till Uncle Gerald's had his say. Gerald, do you mind your own advice for once and keep quiet? I'll deal with you soon enough. Regarding your question, Ardashir, the answer's no. The client I had in mind's a bit of a recluse and stubborn as all hells in her old age. Matoya, then. She wouldn't hear of any meeting, and I ain't got time to press her on it at the moment. Too much to do by half. Sounds like you've got enough on your plate without having to worry yourself over an old mate's Owens. I'll tell you what, let's forget about it for. I know not what hole you have drunken yourself into, sir, and quite frankly, I do not care. I have important business to discuss with Mistress Rowena, and I demand you leave us be this instant. Bah, the youth of today. Jumped up self-serving little shites, a lot of ya. Fine, tell us then, your highness. What's this business of yours that's more important than a man's life, eh? Well, out with it. Gerald, this kid was here first. Very well, if only to explain myself to Rowena. Together with my master, I have been conducting research into the manipulation of spiritual and etheric energies in what you call the Near East. Thavnair, then. Our work has shown that the soul is in fact an agglomeration of a specific type of force. This force defines the quiddity of man and makes us who we are. While the soul is indeed inimitable, we believe it possible to create a quasi-soul. Thus we turned our attention to Anima, the self-same force which allows individuals to traverse the lifestream via etherites, which was also an expendable resource in 1.0, but no longer in 2.0 and later. In fact, having an excessive anima that allows you to teleport is kind of what defines adventures. By infusing a soulstone with the requisite quantities of ether, this force may be harnessed. Yet after years of research and experimentation, we have naught to show for it but inert husks of stone. We repeated the process again and again, adjusting every element, but the result was always the same. At length, my master declared the project a failure and turned his thoughts to other matters. But I could not give up, not after witnessing the beauty of Anima, not after coming so close, and that is why I have journeyed hither to Eorzea. I am certain that with the Charlian's knowledge of arcane sentries, I can complete my project. I am also certain that the resultant souls will be worth more to mankind than the ale-soaked dish clout that passes for yours. Finished, have you? Well then allow me to retort. Seems to me you're a cocker little brat who speaks without law without saying aught. You talk like a man of learning when 'tis plain you're just a boy that's never had a thought of his own, and couldn't even if he tried. Not that he ever would, of course. And why? Because the youth of today can't be bothered to do an ounce of honest work for themselves. No sense of duty. Things get rough and you run for help, leaving a trail of piss in your wake. Okay, like, I know I've gone off about how much I hate Rowena, and how Gerald's kind of her victim, but like, he's definitely not a good person. My god, he's a boomer. Derogatory. Fully derogatory. Do you reckon them scholarly folks from Charlie and asked for the answer whenever they got stuck? Not bloody likely, because they use their bloody brains. Tain't even that hard. If I saw these soul things burning out too quick, I'd think about sealing them inside something strong, like a weapon maybe, to keep all that life from escaping. It'd cost them a bit of freedom, but it'd keep them around for a damn sight longer than you managed. What's more, if the bloody things really are alive, like you say, you'd end up with a weapon that could think for itself, which could be bloody lethal in the right hands. What do you say to that, you preening little shite? An anima weapon? That is absolute genius! A means not only to preserve created anima, but to employ it. Anima weapons, aye, that'll sell. Quite an interesting proposition, Gerald. One that could be quite lucrative. Why not help poor Ardashir here with his work and see what you can make of it? Help that spineless streak of piss? You're joking, ain't ya? Why in the seven hells would I play nursemaid to a watery-eyed brat like him? I was just spouting shite. I didn't really mean none of it. Is that right? Pity. Sounded like something we could have made a good bit of coin out of. Enough to make me forget your debts, like as not. Your debts that I won't be forgetting otherwise. Change your mind? Good. Listen, Ardashir, he may be a drunken bloody fool, but he's also the finest blacksmith in all the realm. If anyone can forge a weapon capable of holding your souls, it's him. And our adventuring friend here, my dear sweet Satora, is a well-known hero around these parts. I'm sure she'd love nothing more than to try out your new weapon when it's finished. Ain't that right? Just think of it, you'd be the first in all Eorzea to wield one of these animal weapons. Which ain't a bad name now that I come to think of it. Animal weapon. Aye, that'll do. Now don't be so hasty, Satora. This here is fate. What else could have brought the three of you to me at the self-same time, eh? And don't go telling me the thought of a weapon that learns and adapts to combat don't interest you, because we both know it does. Gerald, was it? Pray forgive me my rudeness earlier. If you truly are the smith she claims, I would be honored to have your assistance. And you, Satora, I gather you are the perfect candidate to test the weapon once it's complete. Does Ardashir have heterochromia? I only just noticed that. Well, if this'll get me square with Rowena, then I suppose my hammer's yours. But don't think I'm getting roped into this alone. If I have to forge it, you have to wield it. Thank you, both of you. I promise you will not regret this. Nice to see you're all getting on. Now you're gonna need a place to work, and I know just the spot. Azizlaw, the seat of elegant science, floating on high over Abalathia's spine. Not that the equipment up there will be any use to you, mind. Only the 12 know how that stuff works. Still, it'll keep prying eyes away until the weapon's ready. I'll arrange for an airship to take you within the day. And that's just a place people go now, I guess. The fabled Azizlaw. I look forward to seeing you there, Satora. Today has proven to be more productive than I thought. Gerald's out of my hair, and soon I'll have new merchandise for the House of Splendors. Assuming this ridiculous plan of his works, I'm counting on you, Satora. Well then, let's head on to Azizlaw. The relics begin. Alright, Gerald, Ardashir? You two ready to get started? We come all this way and we can't even use the goddamn equipment. Do you know how heavy this anvil is? Too bloody heavy. Should have given it to his lordship to carry. That would have been good for a laugh. No. Gerald, you're really wearing on my nerves, so you carry it. Fabled Azisla. I'd heard stories, but who would believe that such a technological marvel could exist? And floating in the sky at that. If only my master could see me now. But this is not the time for gawping. Come, let us begin our work on the Anima weapon. Alright, we're going to be working on the first step of Anima weapons today. And we're going to be taking it slowly, bit by bit, pacing ourselves out. Sorry, Satora, but if it ain't about the Anima weapon, I got no time for it. What I wouldn't give to be hammering out a nice kettle back in Hearst Mill. You got yourself into this mess, Gerald. I know you have an addiction, and addiction is nasty and very hard to break, but you really do need to put more effort than you have. For example, maybe not spending all the money meant to go to your debts immediately on more alcohol. God, I know addiction is horrible and really fucks you up, but you managed to save it. You managed to save so much money. And in just one single night, you fuck it all up. You couldn't have waited till after you paid the debts to go celebrate? Soul Without Life. Please note that upon completing the quest Soul Without Life, we will receive an Anima weapon for a Dark Knight. Let's do it. Ardashir seems eager to bring Anima into being. Fine. Some quests will be marked with this icon. This indicates that you must play the quest with the same class or job that with which you accepted it, and that changing classes or jobs at any time will prevent quest progress. I take you're ready to proceed. Excellent. Gerald has already begun work on the weapon that will serve to contain the Anima. The difficulty lies in sustaining the thing long enough for the transfer to take place. But with the appropriate stabilizing materials, I believe it should be possible, provided we act quickly. I brought several soul stones with me, so you needn't worry about that. I shall see that one is fitted to your weapon. The only needful things I do not currently possess are crystals capable of handling the quantities of ether required for our work. To be specific, we will need astral and umbral nodules. Would that we were in working rods at Tahan, I knew of a merchant there who sold them. Costly though they were, I was never wanting for supplies. Perhaps Mistress Rowena would know of someone willing to trade. Might you be willing to speak with her on my behalf? No doubt whoever she refers you to will not part with them readily, but I trust you will be able to come to some manner of arrangement. In the meantime, Gerald and I will finish preparations for the Anima weapon. Safe travels, friend. Back we go to fucking Rowena. Oh, we're going to the Revenant's Toll, Rowena. Got it, right, because she was heading back there for work. Alright, Rowena, please tell me you know someone who is able to supply the nodules that we need. Don't make this trip to see you be for nothing. I just remembered something. God. There have been some weird takes among people online. Possibly the weirdest take I've seen about Rowena. I may have mentioned this before. The weirdest take I've seen about Rowena is people just hate Rowena because they're misogynistic and she's a powerful woman. Yo, she literally owns debt slaves in Revenant's Toll. Like, half the people working here are her debt slaves. Girl bossing, I guess! I fucking hate it. Oh, God. Slavery's fine if the slaves are owned by women, I guess. Well, if it isn't my favorite adventure, how's that Anima weapon coming along? Stuck at the very first step. We need a trader who has astral and umbral nodules. Astral and umbral nodules? Might be a Sindoni will have what you're after. She's a jeweler by trade, but her work with crystals is something to behold, let me tell you. They say she can strip them of elements, charge them with new ones, even make them out of thin air if you can believe such a thing. Can't vouch for the rumors myself, but her profits say plenty. She can be a bit picky about clients, but you being the warrior of light and all, I'm sure your sparkling reputation will catch her eye like the crystals she's so fond of. If you go upstairs, you'll find her out on the terrace. Alright then, let's go meet with a Sindoni. Let me guess, another debt slave? It's Rowena. I wouldn't put it past her. She could also have willing business partners. I'm not denying that is a possibility. But we know for a fact she does have multiple debt slaves. Ah, here we go. Here's the balcony. Hello, Sindoni. Zodiac weapon exchange? Interesting. We'll get into that in a minute. Ah, the Warrior of Light. What a pleasant surprise. No need to be alarmed, my dear. It is my business to know all of Eorzea's treasures, be they material or mortal. But tell me, to what do I owe the pleasure? I need Astral and Umbral nodules. Do you have them? Astral and Umbral nodules? My, I see you are a woman of unusual tastes. Might I ask what you plan to do with such curious crystals? Make a special weapon that has a soul and opinions, and maybe sell it for a lot of profit for Gerald. An essence akin to the soul. I suppose such peculiar work would call for crystals as equally peculiar. Well, you were wise to seek me out. I've dedicated my life to the study of crystals, and I cannot bear the thought of knowing there are crystals I could not procure. Mind you, these are no mere baubles or trinkets you ask of me. Crystals of such purity are not easily come by, but to also be so rich in astral and umbral aspected energies. Still, with the proper materials, I believe it can be done. It will require a great deal of ether, obviously, and of a specific persuasion. I'm informed that when a man falls in battle, a residual energy hangs in the ether long after his spirit has returned to the life stream. This energy can infuse crystals in the vicinity with a purity not often seen in nature, a purity essential for what you desire. I can use these crystals, luminous crystals I call them, to imbue empty ones with the astral and umbral energies necessary to create what you seek. But I require one crystal of every element. They will not be easy to come by, of that I can assure you. You will likely have to scour every ilm of Eorzea to find them. However, there may be one other way to acquire the ether we need. It requires something of the rarer sort, something much more precious than luminous crystals. As I mentioned before, it is my business to know all of Eorzea's treasures. And if the rumors are true, there exist certain weapons of legend said to have supped on the souls of countless enemies. In fact, a certain great hero who wields one of these weapons is supposedly working with a young researcher somewhere beyond the Sea of Clouds. Though this is only what I have heard, I will not hold you to ransom on the strength of mere hearsay. Even so, the rumors of these weapons are not so easily dismissed. Embodiments of war, veritable reservoirs of soul energy. If you are in possession of such a weapon, creating these astral and umbral nodules would be as child's play. Or you could simply collect the requisite luminous crystals. I will assist you all the same. I leave the choice in your famously capable hands. So, when the Zodiac weapons from A Realm Reborn were first released, replicas were not really a thing. If you trade in your Zodiac weapon here to just jump right through this first step for free, you will permanently unlock replicas for the corresponding Zodiac weapon that you trade in. All future relic weapons have achievements associated with their progress, and those achievements are what unlock replicas. But for the Zodiac weapon specifically, you need to either have the Zodiac weapon to get replicas of either the current stage or prior stages, or you need to trade the Zodiac weapon into Sindoni to permanently unlock the replicas for that weapon. So, players who exchange the Zodiac weapon Zeta may exchange it for both the Astral and Umbral nodules. Excalibur Zeta must be exchanged together with the Aegis Shield Zeta. Please note, however, that the Zodiac weapon Zeta will be lost upon completing the exchange. Alternatively, players may acquire the Astral and Umbral nodules in exchange for elementally aspected luminous crystals. These crystals may be obtained, albeit at a low probability, by participating in fates in certain areas. Alright, they're just gonna say it. Wind crystals, Sea of Clouds, Fire crystals, Oz's Law, Lightning crystals, Churning Mist, Ice crystals, Kurthus West, Earth crystals, Dravanian Forelands, and Water crystals, Dravanian Hinterlands. Once we have our crystals, Astral Nodule comes from the wind, fire, and lightning. Umbral comes from the ice, earth, and water. Luminous crystals may be obtained, albeit at a low probability, by participating in fates in the aforementioned regions with any Disciple of War or magic, regardless of level. So we've got options. We can trade in our old Zodiac weapons, or we can go grind out fates. I am going to be trading in the Zodiac weapons, but only for the A Realm Reborn relics. So, to be specific, I could trade in my Warrior relic, get the nodules, and use those nodules to make a Dark Knight relic. I could do the same with I could trade in the Scholar relic, and turn it into a Machinist relic. There's not really a whole lot of restriction there. You just turn in a weapon to get the nodules, and then the nodules can make whichever relic weapon you want. So yeah, it's fairly open-ended. So I could trade in relics to get my Dark Knight relic, but I think for the Heavensward jobs, I'm going to grind out the fates as intended. And for doing the A Realm Reborn jobs, Heavensward relics, for that I am going to trade in the old relic weapons. Because at this point we don't need them. The new weapons are going to be objectively better. So I'm going to set out, start working on these fates to get our nodules. I'm going to take notes of how many fates I complete so that I can get some rough data on the drop rates for these crystals. And I will check in with each crystal I get. Alright, we return. It took exactly 18 fates to get all 6, which implies a 1 in 3 drop rate, which it also lines up with what Console Games Wiki's reporting. Console Games Wiki was wrong for a long time on the Atma drops for A Realm Reborn, until I measured out hundreds of fates and found it was a 20%, they were reporting 25%, and then the developers during Dawn Trail revealed that, yeah, it's 20%. I think somebody else was doing data collection around the same time as me and also came to a conclusion of 20%. My data's lining up with Console Games Wiki this time around, so I'm going to trust that that's probably right. Though I've only done 18 fates, that's a very small sample size. So I'll collect more data when I go for the Astrologian and Machinist relics. But for now, let's go ahead and offer our Luminous Crystals. Ah, so you've gathered the requisite Luminous Crystals. Quite the hardened traveler, aren't you? As you are no doubt aware, each nodule requires a different mixture of crystals, so which would you have from me? I will get one of each. Thank you very much. There we are. And yeah, while we're here, I might as well show what it's like to offer up the Zodiac Zetas. Ah, so the rumors were true. You possess a Zodiac weapon. Never in all my years have I had the privilege of working with something so precious. Fueled by countless souls and shaped by the strength of your own, it will make a fine pair of astral and umbral nodules. However, I must warn you, this process will consume the Zodiac weapon completely, both body and soul. You will have your crystals, but this will mark the end of your weapon and its legendary tale. Honestly, I kind of really like this just in concept. Sacrificing a Zodiac weapon to create the Anima weapon. For reasons that we will get to further in the Anima weapon series. Exquisite, simply exquisite. Never have I seen such concentrations of pure ether in so lovely a frame. The life energy is palpable. Yes, with this I have all I need to infuse crystals with the energies of light and dark. Behold. The astral and umbral energies that once dwelled within your weapon have been made manifest. Nodules of the purest ether. Alright. Now then, let's report back to Oz's Law, make our Dark Knight weapon, And then I'll make a paladin weapon off screen while I'm there. And probably convert the rest of the Zodiacs into the initial stage of Anima Relics. But yeah, just like narratively, I really like the fact that your Zodiac weapons can be continuous into the Anima Relics. And there's another aspect of the conversion that I like as well. Turning your Zodiacs into Animas will not affect the Anima questline in any way. There's just something about it that I like, which we will get to later. Welcome back, Satora. Were you able to acquire what we need? I was indeed. I got 2 sets. Yes, these appear to be genuine. I dare not ask what this cost you, but you have my sincerest thanks. As promised, the Soul Stone is ready. All that remains now is the Ether Infusion. And if the weapon Geralt has forged is strong enough to contain the resulting anima, we shall soon be the proud parents of a living weapon. Now then, let us begin. The ether has taken hold in the Soul Stone, but it will not last long. Quickly, Geralt, seal it within the weapon before the ether fades. That should do it. That thing ain't going nowhere. Now there's a weapon worthy of legends. An Anima weapon. Animated Deathbringer. Wield it with pride, lass. Though I wouldn't say she's a finished article just yet. A weapon fresh from the forge is one thing, but if it's life we're talking about, she's not but a suckling babe. She wants putting through her paces and toughening up. I can pound her with my hammer, of course, but that ain't no substitute for a real battle. If you ask me, you need to get out there and teach that Anima what it means to be a warrior. Excuse me, Geralt, but might I have a word with our friend here? It was, after all, my research that brought us this far. Come, Satora, let us discuss the next step in developing the Anima. We get Stage 1. Looks like the weapon I currently have, which I believe I picked up from Ravana, is still stronger, but we will hold on to this because the relic weapons do eventually become the best weapons in any given expansion. Especially in hindsight, relic weapons are very good for tackling old content for reasons we will get to. We can only work on one relic weapon at a time for a given step. If we wish to restart these quests as a different jobs, like duty from the main menu, journal, abandon the quest. Alright then. Yeah, the Hive Claymore is 20 item level stronger, so it is a downgrade to go to the Deathbringer right now. But in time it'll become much stronger. Alright then. I'll go ahead and work on more of the relic weapons on my own time. For now, next time on Final Fantasy XIV, let's get started on the new society quests for patch 3.1. I'll see everyone next time for that.